Hello.
Hi, everyone.
Hi. So basically what this interview is, right, is to basically for you to share your experiences and all the challenges, wins, like successes, just everything you've went through in your life, and just sharing that so the people at home who are watching are able to enjoy and also learn from your journey basically, and actually be able to further themselves in their own journeys as well. So let's get started. Let's start with the introductions. So how about you introduce yourself for us? Yeah.
Thanks so much for inviting me for this interview. And this is actually almost my very first time doing an interview, except my job interviews. So I hope it will be interesting and useful. So I'm Chimka Gantөмөр, and I'm from Mongolia, and I moved to New Zealand in January 2020, which is actually almost before the COVID and everything happened.
Okay.
I feel like I'm pretty lucky in that state, and the reason why I moved to New Zealand is that I got a job opportunity to work at one of the biggest global accounting firm as an audit senior associate.
Yeah.
That's how I moved to here.
Okay, I see. So what would this firm be? You're talking about this biggest firm you're talking about. What firm is that?
It's a PwC. It's a PricewaterhouseCoopers, one of the biggest four accounting firms in the world.
Yeah.
And we have like more than 150 branches around the world. So one of them is in PwC, in New Zealand.
Yeah. I've recently learned, because like I did join a competition with PwC, and only in the final, like the last competition when I went to their office, I was like, oh, this PwC company is pretty big. So yeah. PwC is part of what's called the Big Four, right? Like a lot of people say like it's like the Big Four with like PwC, KPMG. I'm not so sure about the other two. What would the other two was?
Deloitte and EY, yeah.
Oh yeah, Deloitte,
yeah.
I love those.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I feel like, I don't know about the rest of the world, but in New Zealand so far, I think PwC has the nicest office so far I've seen.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, it's a very nice office.
Yeah.
So before you even got into PwC, like what university did you go to?
Interestingly, I never learned I never studied in university in overseas. I graduated from uni in Mongolia, and I started my career in PwC Mongolia as well. So this is how I started my career journey, and I worked at PwC Mongolia for 4 years until 2019, and I resigned as a senior associate, and I joined a mining company in Mongolia. But that career path was short. It lasted only 8 months, and I had a chance to apply as a senior audit associate role in PwC New Zealand because I had an experience in PwC Mongolia. Actually, whether I graduated from any uni in other like overseas countries didn't matter.
Yeah, because you had the job.
It was actually a good opportunity for me to have a chance to work at PwC, work at the global firm. So and also I was doing the ACCA, which is actually also one of the global chartered accountant qualification. So it also helped me to got a job opportunity here. So I moved to New Zealand 2.5 years ago as a senior associate. And then currently I am a manager at technical accounting advisory team in PwC.
Okay. So, that's actually really interesting. So you worked at PwC, and then you basically got an opportunity to go to New Zealand just through the branches alone, basically. Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So,
otherwise, I wouldn't think that they would give me that opportunity if I had started my career, for example, somewhere other companies, for example, local companies, because not nobody, but actually the audience or the people would know that companies would be very limited.
Yeah, I see. It's very good. Yeah. And then, so can you explain further about what is the ACCA? Because you just mentioned you got it.
ACCA is a chartered accounting qualification in UK, but actually it's very well known and accepted in a lot of other countries, including my home country, for example, Mongolia, Singapore, a lot of other European countries. So it's actually really good. It's actually very important qualification if someone wants to practice as an accountant in other countries.
So this is like the certification to basically
yeah.
It's like it's the one you have to get to like really be able to get a job in just about anywhere in the world, basically.
Exactly.
It's like the
it can be converted to the other like CPA qualification in other countries too. So it actually opens a lot of doors.
Yeah. And how long did it take you to finish the certificate?
Normally there are a lot of people who just like full-time study for this qualification. So for those people, it only takes maybe sometimes like 3 to 4 years. From my experience, 3 to 4 years, because there's like 14
That's like exams. A full-on degree.
Yeah, it is. Like it's actually almost equal to like master degree in accountancy, actually.
So it's like a pretty big one. Okay, got it.
Yeah. But from my experience, PwC actually supports this ACCA qualification. So I started studying for this one when I started my career in PwC Mongolia. So it actually like took me almost 7 years to finish it because I actually worked full time.
Yeah, because you were working as well. Yeah. So definitely.
It was actually a long journey.
Yeah.
But it's worth.
I heard like, it's like an ACCA, it's like a certificate. I was thinking like 6 months, maybe like a year. It's a full-on degree you're working with. Okay.
Yeah.
So, you mentioned that you came to New Zealand in 2020. So how was that like?
Well, I wasn't expecting COVID would be that big.
Yeah, that must have been a pretty wonky ride, definitely.
When I just arrived in New Zealand, there was just some news, like, there was a new virus in China, and it actually was spreading in other Asian countries. So I was thinking that it would be just like that, and then there won't be anything. It
went everywhere, everything stopped.
Yeah. And then, what happened, like New Zealand actually recorded its first case, then we went to the lockdown, and then like everything changed, and never in my life I would imagine that I would need to work from home every day, full day. So it's actually kind of challenge for me because I came to New Zealand almost in February and started working in PwC in February as well. And the lockdown happened only 1.5 months later. I didn't know a lot of people. I didn't have much experience in this firm.
That must have sucked.
Yeah. Even though it's a network firm, there's some like work culture or the work style is different. So like I needed some time to adjust.
You just didn't get that time.
Yeah. But actually I had to adjust remotely. So thankfully that lockdown didn't last long. So we had a chance to go back to office and then work like in person together with other teams like 2 or 3 months later. But it was also challenging for me as a new joiner, new person in the new country.
So that's like all the things piling on top. Like that's really
it's like a roller coaster.
And you're still here, and you probably grew a lot from that kind of experience. Definitely, I can imagine. So did you already know English before you came here, or were you just like no English? You're just like an accountant, and it just threw you to New Zealand, and is that how it went down, or how did it go down?
Well, thankfully, my English was not so bad because PwC Mongolia, we had to do the documentation, we had to work, we had to send like all the communication, all the papers, documents in English. So I had to learn, I had to experience it when I was in Mongolia. But obviously my speaking and listening, some like those kind of skills were really limited because I didn't have a chance to.
You don't get the opportunity. Like you're definitely you're like reading and writing in English, but speaking is a whole different game.
So one of the challenges when I first came to New Zealand was that, like understanding the native English speakers, making them to understand me as well. It's also one of the biggest challenges. So it's getting better. There is still some room for improvement.
Definitely.
I have that room for improvement, but it's getting better.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's one of the biggest things like people struggle with when people come to a new country when learning English. For me specifically, like I could so when I came to primary, right, I came to New Zealand in 2013. I was like 11. And I always watched like a lot of English shows, a lot of cartoons. So like I could like realistically read and write better than most of the kids who were born in New Zealand. I was like, okay.
Oh, wow.
I couldn't speak at all. Like in the first 6 months,
but yeah.
the first 6 months, like I couldn't speak to anybody. Like it's a very different experience. And I've noticed like I've done some like coaching with other like international students that come to New Zealand. So they would they're trying to get into university, and I've like coached one of this girl, and that was like one of her biggest problems. Like she could read, she could write pretty well, but like she just couldn't speak or listen. That's like the hardest problem. It's just because you don't get that like exposure to it when you're like in your home country. Like in Mongolia, no one's gonna speak to you in Mongolian. I mean in English, you know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
You never get that chance. So that's
actually like the workplace is like that. They like if you're outside the office, like there's a very limited option. Like there are not a lot of people can speak in English. They can understand, but they can't speak in English, and so it's actually difficult. But in the office, there are expats from the other countries, but most of them are, for example, there's English is actually their second language as well, but just like me. I see. It's also hard, like having like English speaking and listening skill with the native English speakers is very limited. Yeah. So like coming to New Zealand, like
everyone's speaking English
together with them in a professional firm. Yeah. It's a challenge, but it's a good opportunity to practice 100% improve. Yeah. Exactly. It's actually like real life.
Yeah, it's real life. Where was it? Like so PwC is like you said, like it's like 140 branches all over the world. Like what I feel like the working in that kind of environment is a lot different than like working in a local firm. Like what's the like the differences between there?
Well, the mining company I used to work at is the only company outside PwC I ever worked with. So, and also in that company, some of the expats are from other countries as well. But the difference is just like the culture. The local company has that like very Mongolian culture. Yeah. But the PwC Mongolia, even though it's in Mongolia, there are a lot of people from the overseas, or there are a lot of people who use it to study or live it in overseas, even though they are Mongolian. Yeah. So it's very diverse, and then like. You cannot expect something from people. Like you have to accept them. You have to respect their perspectives as well.
Yeah. It's very diverse. Yeah.
They're very diverse, and then very like sometimes we have that like, oh, our tradition is that. What is yours? What is this country's? And then it's actually good. Like like in the exchange program in the unis. It's just like that. Sometimes it's a good opportunity to get to know the world, even though you are sitting in one office, it's a good opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. So do you think if let's say like if you're Mongolian and you want to be able to experience that kind of like multicultural environment, do you think like working at like what do you call it, a global company is a very good way about doing that if you want to like be in that kind of environment?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Also, do you think like being in a global, like already like diverse company, do you think that made that transition going from like Mongolia to New Zealand a lot easier?
I don't think so, because even though in PwC Mongolia, like 70 to 80% of employees are Mongolian.
I see. Still,
so
it's still a pretty big change.
Diversity in PwC Mongolia, but New Zealand is in another level.
It's
like,
the whole new.
In one meeting room, there are like 5 people sitting, and that 5 people are from 5 different countries. So it's different.
I 100% get that. Definitely. I think that was the biggest things that hit me when I first came in. Like it was just everything just changed. I was like 11. I had no idea what was going on, and they just my mom was like, "Oh, we're going somewhere." I was like, "All right," and I ended up in New Zealand, and here I am, like 9 years later. Yeah, it's 9 now. It's crazy.
Half of your life.
It's almost half. It's very crazy. I just turned 20 like this year. So, as a what like do you think? Because the way you got into PwC is not like the traditional way, you can say, because like you got into a PwC. I guess you did, but it's like, so let's say if people who are from New Zealand are watching this, right? Your experience would be it'd be hard to relate to, definitely, right? Because you came from Mongolia and you got into PwC in Mongolia, and then you got transferred basically through the branches. what kind of skill sets do you think, like if you're a student, right? If you're a student and you want to get into PwC, what kind of like skill sets do you think they need to be working on if you want to work at like a big 4 firm?
Yeah. Well, I joined as an audit associate. So the first thing I would suggest is that, like, if they are majoring in accountancy, for example, be the best. Like,
definitely.
Like,
very helpful. Very helpful
like,
to be the best.
Have a good grade in those subjects, you know, like accountancy, business management, or like especially the management related subjects are very important. Even though we are accountants, we are going to audit, we are going to account, we have to manage a lot of stuff in the job. So management skill is very important. So like, have to be very well organized person, have to be keen to learn new things because it's very diverse. Like there are a lot of challenges, and even though you graduated from uni with bachelor degree in accountancy, in real life there are a lot more complex issues and scenarios come up.
Definitely.
So the people who have that skill or that interest in the field has succeeded faster in my observation. They're keen to learn, they're curious, so that's why. And also another one thing, the most important thing is actually English. Because without an English, there is no way to go around or communicate.
100%.
Because it's a global film. Even though, for example, someone in Mongolia, if they watch it, and then if they think that, I'm going to work at the Mongolian firm or in local company, but it's not the case, because actually, like, there are a lot of like international transactions happening. Somehow in your career, you had to work with someone from overseas, not only in PwC, not only in other like local company, but everywhere it can happen. So the English is a must to learn. So I would, if I were a student again, I would actually learn English more and more. I used to spend time, but it wasn't enough when I was starting career. I had a lot of challenge. So
definitely. Okay, so I think the point you're trying to get across is that like being not being just good at the one thing you want. Like let's say if you want to be an accountant in the future, you can't just be good at accounting. You have to like actually cover all the bases, have a good understanding of all the other aspects of business itself. Okay, I see. It's very useful. And definitely I agree with English. Anything you're trying to do, if you want to operate on any level above your country, like you have to learn English, because you have to talk to people, and to some extent at least. Like you don't have to be fluent, but you have to be able to understand and communicate what you're thinking into someone else.
And also you need to be a little bit more brave, because the first time when I actually remember that when I tried to talk to the non-Mongolian manager for the first time, I understood fully her or him, but actually it was challenging for me to make them understand me in the first time, because I was so shy. I wasn't brave enough to talk about the things I definitely know. But
definitely
being brave.
I think being brave, being able to take chances, being like not scared to look stupid in front of people. That's very. Once you get into the corporate world, I feel like it's like everyone's like high up there. Everyone like has to act like they know what everything's going on, but realistically, not a lot of people are confused, right? And to be able to like, I don't know, beat that fear and actually like take that risk, because it's practice. You have to like speak to be good at speaking. That's like it's a very simple logic. That I like when I started, I used to struggle. Like I just wanted. I like arguing with people. That's like a very big thing about me. Like I love arguing with my friends, but it doesn't matter what it is. We just argue about sports, movies, anything like that. And like when I first came to, obviously I can't speak anything, so like I would just be saying like really dumb stuff, and my friends would laugh. I don't really care, because I just really wanted them to understand what I was saying. And that's a skill that people who are like born in English speaking countries struggle with as well. The whole idea of like communicating what's in your head like through words it's very difficult. If you can do it at the high level, and if you can do it at the high level, like it can open definitely a lot of doors for you. So basically you just learned English through trial and error. Did you take any courses? Did you like so like how long did you take those courses for?
Well, my English learning journey started almost when I was 12 or 13 years old in high school, because there's, that English program in high school, but it's only 1 or 2 hours in a week, so it's not enough.
Yeah.
So when I was graduating from high school, I wouldn't say that my English was better, but in uni, I actually realized that I had to learn it very well if I really want to succeed in my career, or if I really want to work in foreign countries or in the global firm. So that's where I started studying English on my own. Otherwise, if I just rely on the uni program or high school program, they would never
it
ever.
wasn't enough. Yeah, it's
you
not
never
enough.
ever be.
You have to make that extra effort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the courses. I don't really remember that I take some courses, but maybe 1 or 2 month courses for just for example, some uni enrollment exam, or just TOEFL or IELTS exams, but not really like dedicated courses for making me, for example, to make me to the advanced or just the business professional level. So literally just my experience, my practice was doing my own research, translation, watching movies, memorizing words.
That's very impressive.
First ever that people do it, memorizing words. Small parts, writing down
you get a key card and you try to
and putting them everywhere you can see. That's how I started.
Very classic, It's the classic way to learn English.
Started memorizing, that text or whatever in your head. Then started my career in global film. Actually, really just.
And then you were able to put that your knowledge into practice, and then when you get into practice, it's a lot easier. You learn a lot faster. That is so impressive. I talk to a lot of people who struggle with learning English and stuff, and you're a prime example of if you put in the effort and you put in the work yourself, and you really want to do it, it just works. Because right now I'm talking to you, and I don't know, I feel like your English is completely okay. It's completely fine. I'm able to communicate everything. You understand everything that I'm saying. I understand everything you're saying. It's it just shows that
maybe they both are Mongolian. That's why.
You would think that, but really, it's not how that works.
You should have seen me when I just first came to New Zealand and interviewed me.
Oh yeah, don't worry. I can visualize it. I can visualize it because I used to be that person as well. Not being able to speak, really just feel like you're you can't talk to anyone, really lonely. Yeah, definitely. Wow. Okay. So I have one last question for you because I think we're going on for a little too long.
Yep.
What do you think? So when you were in university, you seem to be very driven, definitely. You got into university and you were thinking about your future, what you want to do in life. You were okay, you located that you had to learn English and you were learning English, and it's super high performance, I guess you could say. What kind of advice would you give to a student, to university students right now, people like me, people who are still trying to figure out what they want to do with their life? What kind of advice would you want to give for the average university student that wants to do well in their life?
I would say try to be the hardest worker in the room.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because initially accounting wasn't my, for example, the first great choice in my career. When I was trying to, for example, decide what career path I would choose, accounting wasn't there. But it was the safest career to me. So I actually chose it. But since I chose it, I have to master it. I have to be good at it, even though it wasn't my first choice. So the first one is actually being very determined and dedicated to what you have chosen. And then the next one is having some discipline, because now it's very difficult to be focused, right? like there are a lot of things like Facebook, Instagram,
social media,
Netflix. Like there are a lot of things to distract you. I may sound like I am so old person, but when I was a student,
like this is
when I was a student, luckily, thankfully, the smartphone was just launched. So smartphones were not so popular, especially it was very expensive for uni students. So we didn't have that. So that's why it was actually really helping me to focus. Now I'm struggling when I'm working, actually I'm struggling to focus on my work. But back in uni,
you didn't have to
what
worry
I remember
about
now is that I focused very, very well. Like there was no distraction. So try not to distract yourself when you are focusing on very important assignments.
Yeah.
And then it will help you to learn the best from everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
That's all I would say.
Discipline is definitely something that people my age definitely struggle with right now. It is just so much input from outside the world. There's so many exciting things out there. Sometimes
exactly.
It's just so hard to be like, yes, I'm gonna watch this 1 hour lecture of some dude talking about the economic law, and it's like I could be doing something so much more exciting right now, but being able to lock it down and focus up, I think that's what really. I guess it makes it easier though, because if everybody's distracted, if you're not the one distracted, it'd be easier to get ahead because everybody else is getting so busy distracted. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, when I was actually studying for ACCA, for example, I usually have sometimes 1 or 2 weeks to prepare one exam. Usually it will take 2-3 months from people, but beside work, it's impossible. So what I did is actually I just delete every social media account from my phone. I'm not going to re-download it again if I want, and then just sit somewhere you cannot be distracted. That's how.
Wow.
And then the reward will be after your exam, you can allow yourself to scroll your phone for a whole day. That's the reward, and then you can study for that.
Yeah. So would you say I feel like removing distractions when you need to focus on? Do you think that's a really good advice? I think that's your biggest advice, right? Yeah, definitely. I gotta try these things as well. I'm getting distracted out here. I have so definitely I gotta lock it in as well. And yeah, I think that was definitely one of the best interviews I've had. Thank you so much for being on.
Good.
You can message me again if you want to get on and talk about other things in your life. Definitely, I'll be more than happy to have you on again. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
Yeah, bye. See ya.
See ya.